Yeah, let's go with Mace. Yeah, who hasn't feeling as a brother? Yeah. Like I said, I played this game maybe with some friends at the house when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh yeah. And tomorrow is the points updates for Warrior 40K. Well, if that's that I was supposed to explain everything.
So it seems that Warhammer 40k's new points costs are inbound and coming out on Wednesday. Let's talk through Games Workshop's reveals
That's
as to
tomorrow.
what's coming, their plans for balance in early 11th, and a fairly big list of unit points costs that will go up and down, and Games Workshop's reasoning for doing so. Hello and welcome back to Wars-Based Tactics, where this week we're approaching the full release of 11th edition in its entirety. After plenty of previews and teasers, we've had the core rules out for a couple of weeks now. The big action packs coming last week, tournament companion and terrain plans, and this week we're finally getting the points download and updates. This will mean that 11th edition is more in line with the agenda vehicles paved with around the world. The Armageddon box set is still on pre-order at this point, and it's due to be out on full release in stores this weekend.
It's a long time since I played this game.
Check out the discount retailers in the video description, where link games in the UK for 20% off. Link warriors for 20%, and you'll find the top locations around the world. A big thanks to any use of those links in the video description, whether it's again or other fancy model kit purchases. These ones do help to support Wars-Based Tactics and don't cost anything to use. Getting into it though, I knew that the Mirror to Unveil manual and the other downloads that we're waiting for are going to be coming out sometime this week, though we didn't know specifically when. Usually with Anthem points updates, their most common day to release them are Wednesdays. I was wondering if they could either be at the start or end of the week, given their unusual pattern for 11th edition. It does seem that we now have the confirmation that it's going to be Wednesday the 17th at go time, so 3 days before the full release of Armageddon and 11th edition in general in stores. The timing for that in the UK it often tends to be something like 1 AM to 2 PM local time, so maybe around 4 AM to 6 AM US time. I guess we could probably be running into news. Get a little later downloads going live and the real war we have recently, or plenty of us out there as well as to get your hand. Mission death is been one of the last things that you need to play 11th edition. We've already had a general expectation as to what this will bring. Some of the points changes including things like more units, there as well. Other changes that they need to make for things that have got better or worse with various rules changes into 11th. And we also know that there's plenty coming for new features for the app, which I've mentioned a little bit here as well. But this one I think they were mainly trying to set some expectations. Talk about those app features, I often talk about some balance updates in early 11th, and quite a lot of specific examples for why certain units might go up and down in points cost, most of which makes sense, but are still quite interesting to pick through. First up, we've got the teaser of the Unveil manual itself. All of these will be going live on the Warhammer app as well. There'll also be the build manual for the Warhammer community. Apparently this is going to be a new format to what we used to. At the moment we just have standard PDF documents, mainly lists of rules. But this one they mentioned is going to be some sort of new interactive format. So I wonder if it might be sort of a browser-based version of the Warhammer 40k app or similar. I don't know if we might see some elements similar to either what PDF or New Recruit might do in some way. I guess it'll still be a rules reference as opposed to an army builder, but a lot of content as we know them so far. As mentioned, expanded with some points and some unit scaling and points. If you take 2 or 3, it looks like this is also going to be the location for dispositions and detachment keywords and detachment points. They gave us the list in the article as to last week, but this will be the official way to reference them. It sounds like the document might also have some attachments, as best we can tell. There are much better might allow units to join up with things like I said, attachments or enhancements to allow force to go with a unit as a commander. For whatever reason, the actual option to do that was not on the enhancement itself, so I guess we'll either be playing or however we're getting the army construction rules for Warhammer 40k. So far we've only been directed to the Warhammer 40k app as the way to actually build armies in the game, and I think it was quite questionable as this is not that important information in the core itself. I'm still guessing that there will be a written version of how to build armies in 40k, either in the rules companion or in the build manual. Sounds like they're pushing the app as the main way to build 40k armies, but it's probably not going to be the only way. The app will be going live on Wednesday. It does make sense that launch that at the same time as the Warhammer Forge Spot information, and instead of this will just be a continuation of the current app that we have, but with a bunch of new features added. And if we're wanting to reference 10th edition rules and points for the next few days until 11th edition kicks off properly, then avoid updating the app. This should have the same rules and reference features that we had before, plus a few other features. They said that you get to be able to do some in-game scoring in it now, so kind of similar to various scoring apps such as the tabletop battles one that tracks your score to online. They seem to have been prompt with that and have already updated it for 11th edition. They also told us that we're going to be able to see opponents' data sheets in some way. For this one, they confirmed it's both the army rules and data sheets, and so far people have speculated it might be done via a QR code sharing system or similar. Say if you've got a Codex unlock code, you can scan that before the game and maybe share with the other player for a time limited period. As well as those, they have already mentioned that Legends rules will finally be added to the 40k app. That will be happening at launch. That'll be at a later date. And from some new info today, they also said that there'd be a war journal to past games, which seems like something that you'd expect to go hand in hand with being able to score games in the first place. It looks like that's got its own icon at the bottom of the app next to the battle board. I guess the vast majority of these features will be free. The biggest question is whether or not you need a Warhammer Plus login to create more than one army list at the same time. Expect to pay off for 40 years, because more patches is not just people into getting Warhammer Plus subscriptions, but also it does mean that if you don't have that, then it does limit its functionality. It'll be interesting to have a play around with the new features when it goes live. Before we get into points updates and their teasers for them, I'll just give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Bourbon and Bolters. They wanted to share their luxury style Warhammer 40k event coming up in January 2027, which basically amounts to painting and playing Warhammer for a week in a luxury 5-star hotel type place. The event's held in North Carolina in the USA, in a great big manor place called the Black Stallion. Included over the course of the week, and then for entertainment and what's on, there are plenty of time and space for casual gaming and painting. The main attractions for a bunch of events and seminars, tactics and painting classes, by some famous names from around the internet, and a couple of events over the course of the week, including a narrative campaign and a weekend RPG. It does sound like a pretty good time, but bear in mind it does have a luxury price tag to match being in a 5-star hotel pretty much. $4,000 for a week is beyond what the vast majority of folks can afford to pay for some top-tier hobby time. They do find it quite fun that this sort of thing exists for Warhammer, and there's been free time and disposable income.
There they are.
Check it out, link down in the video description if you'd like to take a look at their event. Just find it had pretty positive feedback from people who did last year. In any case, thanks to them for sponsoring this one. Getting back to 40k then pending points updates though. If in their article gives one to just general expectations, changes might happen to at least understand their reasoning. At least might imply some counterpoints to any instinctive bad feelings when players realise that some of their units have gone up in points significantly. It reminds me of the point changes they made from 8th edition to 9th edition, where it looks like with the rules changes they made and a formula that gave the impact of the various changes they made to the game, like certain units, classes, power and overall spec, rules and abilities more powerful or better. It also gives nods to the fact that this time of edition is kind of likely to be a bad time for game balance, which has pretty much always been the case in the last edition of modern 40k's history. Whatever level of playtesting they do, it's not going to be as well as having a community online, not every rule and try and outdo each other in tournaments to drive innovation. And probably to that end, they will be doing it with balanced passes a bit more regularly, at least for the initial period after 11 goes out. Once the initial calculation of balance changes constantly seemed like that was wound up happening in 10th edition anyway, when we had all kinds of craziness like Noldar running rampant with their devastating wounds, when armies like Knights and G-Sters were doing very well as well when they miscalculated their faction rules. Even with a whole bunch of changes though, I have a hard time imagining it'll be quite as wild and crazily unbalanced as early tech wars. It's quite a different thing to be adapting a previous system with a whole bunch of refinements, starting with a new system entirely. take away would make sense to just ban them massively. And the idea that you want to try and limit their impact as opposed to having entire armies of the thing be the best thing in the game. And with the changes to indirect fire and I'm pretty hopeful this could be a pathway for them actually making indirect fire units competitive again. They seem to have taken pains to make them really like these so far. I'm certainly going to be curious to see what this gets us like. It seems like most will want support the executioners, one floating central damage dealers like this island, noting wondering if the system will fall down a bit for armies that have lots of options to have one role. Say space range where you can just take 6 different flavors of contact rather than spam the same thing. Versus factions like Emperor's Children, where the only main contact damage dealer is the Defiler. They don't really have value to give it to when it has an increasing.
今解放を感じる準備は良いですか？アーミーにはドレスコードというものが必要ではないでしょうか。
might be the ones that Jedi test, like the Tyrann Newer and Ictor, who are already good, probably more so than defensive units, where they're very rarely taken for battle shock abilities. It's like the Commissar or the Chaplain's leadership. There's possible potentially rising cost of this. I hope they don't just continue to make them. As well, battle shock's definitely got the potential to be a lot more disruptive. It's still going to be rather unnecessary, so that's really given an important test to the opponent's this pass. Striking weapons may pay a lower points cost, and they don't modifiers, and they're really as well, so possibly they can or Tyranids and handling out a bunch of negative modifiers. And on the flip side of that, units with a stealth special rule might be paying less for that, given that stealth is just a fundamentally weaker rule than it was. It still basically has the same effect of normally equating to -1 to hit, generally -1 ballistic skill now.
Let's call it a night. See you all tomorrow.